Okay, so the vehicle weirdness for the Casino Heist DLC continues, this time with the Imorgon, which as you can see doesn't normally get a turbo upgrade in Los Santos Customs, same for all electric vehicles in the game, but you can actually apply one using an old trick with the iFruit phone app. So if you get the app, you go to your cars at the bottom, it gives you your 10 latest upgraded cars, I believe, in the list. And you can go to the bottom of that and as you can see there, apply the turbo. You can do that through the app, press the order button, and then when you get into the game, you drive to any Los Santos Customs and you'll be able to process the app order, and that adds the turbo to the car, which is something that you're not normally able to do. Now, I was skeptical about this when I first heard about it because this is actually a very, very old thing that you can do, and you've been able to do this for a long time with a variety of electric vehicles like the Tesseract, the Cyclone, things like that, but the turbo never sticks. I'll talk more about that later on. But for some reason, it does seem to actually stick to the car with the Imorgon, so it does improve its performance. Now, as you know by now, its top speed is pretty dismal, and adding the turbo doesn't really improve that. It goes from 62nd place in the sport class to 60th place in the sport class. It gains a top speed 2.5 miles per hour quicker than what it had before, only moves up 2 places. It really doesn't make that much of a difference, but you know, every little helps. Lap time is where we see the biggest difference though, because the turbo, obviously, like engine upgrades, the turbo increases acceleration and top speed, and obviously the stats in Los Santos Customs mean absolutely nothing with something like this, and even though it only shows you increasing acceleration, it increases everything across the board, but the Imorgon already has very, very good acceleration, and adding the turbo just improves that even further, to the point where around the lap, with the turbo enabled for the Imorgon, you get a lap time, or it gets a lap time, that's good enough for second place in the sports class. That is about half a second quicker than the Pariah and the Neo around the track, and only a few tenths of a second slower than the Italy GTO. Now obviously in most races it's not going to do very well anyway, because you're going to have a track kind of like this, but even then an Italy GTO is going to be quicker than it, and if it's got any kind of decent amount of straights, the Imorgon's going to get swamped by so many cars, especially something like a Pariah as well. But that 1.5 second per lap time increase isn't something to be, ignored. That's pretty huge, and it goes up to second place in the sports class, further sort of increasing its discrepancy from lap time and top speed. It's the second quickest sports car in the game for lap time, but it's all the way down in 60th place for top speed. It's kind of crazy. But obviously the reason that I was skeptical about this whole thing is because you can do this trick with other electric vehicles like the Cyclone, as you're seeing here. Now the green Cyclone in this race has had this trick done to it, but it doesn't stick. As you can see, it's even all the way along between the three of us. When you do this to any other electric vehicle, it works for basically the free roam session that you apply it in. So you go to Los Santos Customs, you process the app order, and then you will get an extra top speed and acceleration boost from the turbo for those electric vehicles within that free roam session. But it doesn't stick, so as soon as you drive into your garage or go into another lobby or start a race, you don't get those effects. The turbo just disappears because it's not meant to be there in the first place. So doing this with other electric vehicles doesn't improve anything apart from, for a few minutes in a free roam session. But for the Imorgon, it does stick, and that's why I was skeptical about it, because I just assumed that it would be like the other electric vehicles, that it doesn't stick to the car, and all the tests that we've been seeing, they've all been done in, airport drag races and things like that, which to this day is probably the number one biggest source of misinformation about vehicle performance of all time, and is a terrible way to test vehicles. So because all that's been done in free roam, I never really gave it much thought. Obviously then a few people in my community also tested it in races and found that it seems to have an effect, and then I've gone out this morning and tested it properly around a lap and for top speed in a proper race situation, as you've seen, and there is a noticeable difference. So applying the turbo, using the iFruit app for the Imorgon, it not only helps like it does with other electric vehicles, but it also sticks to the car as well. Whether this is going to remain a thing, we don't know. Rockstar may patch this out and remove the turbo from everybody's cars, kind of like they did to fix the Paragon R armoured version, where they just removed the transmission upgrade before they fixed that. So, you know, take this with a grain of salt. It might not last, or it may last, and this is the only way to get it. I think it either has to be one or the other. Rockstar should either make the turbo just available to buy in Los Santos Customs for everybody. You know, it shouldn't be a case of you having to get an app on your phone and then go through it that way. Or they should just get rid of it entirely and have the car how it is meant to be. But for now, if you do get the turbo on the car, as you've seen here, you will get an increase in performance. A negligible increase in top speed, but a relatively decent increase in terms of acceleration and overall lap time that comes from that. So thank you to everybody out there who has, you know, brought this to my attention. Guinea Master made a video as well, but again, it was kind of the airport drag strip stuff, which it really is the worst way to test vehicles. But, you know, things like that did highlight the issue and have made me go out and test it properly. And thanks to the guys in my community, like Ribsteaks as well, for example, who did some extra testing in a racing situation and made me think twice about the fact that this might be a little bit different to other instances that we've seen of this in the past. So that's pretty much it for this one. I will update the description of this video if this is ever patched. So if you're looking at this video in 6 months' time, just go to the first line of the description, and if you see some text saying this is now being patched, then you know the score. But for now, as I'm sitting here and recording this, this works. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for all the support as always, and I'll see you next time.